Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Trump is an underdog. You have a 12% chance. That doesn't mean it's zero, right? But it does mean that you can't afford to lose any of the close calls, right? You have to execute on. It's like when the Patriots came back to beat the Falcons, right? In Super Bowl, whichever it was, 28-3. You know, their chance wasn't zero, but they had to execute on basically every play perfectly. I mean, Trump's not quite in those dire straits. I mean, I think the Falcons were at 99%, which is way different than 80-something, right? But like, he needs almost everything to go right.
Nate Silver, remember, he got it wrong. Here's something about the polling, and I've talked to several polling people, some of them local here in Arizona, some of them nationwide, over the last several weeks, and they've all said to a person, if we get this wrong, we will no longer be an industry. Is it 12% for Trump? Is it 35%? Is it 2%? Depends. Every day I see something new. One of the reasons I don't know what the polls look like is because every poll is completely different. You know, if all the polls were close, you know, it was like 8%, 7%, 9%, 6%, in that kind of thing. It's like watching a boxing. You ever watch like a world championship boxing match and it goes to the cards? And then they scored 118 to 112 for this guy, 119 to 111 for this guy. And the other person says they scored 115 to 115. I'm like, what are you watching? It's the same thing. Rasmussen has this. Real Clear Politics has this. Quinnipiac has this. Wall Street Journal has this. I don't know. My gut says it's close. My gut says it's close. How close? Closer, I think, than people think. And it doesn't mean it can't be a blowout when it comes to the Electoral College. It can be. It could absolutely mean it could be a blowout. But it can also be very close on the numbers. We are 5 days away. What's it look like in 5 days? We going to get a winner that night? I do believe we're going to. I still think it's about 60-40. We get a winner that night. How close will it be? Will it be close enough that the lawsuits will start? Well, they're already starting. You've seen that. They've started across the country when it comes to when your ballot has to be in by, if you mail it in at a certain time. You know, I mean, some of this stuff I find to be ridiculous just as a human being looking, going, well, hold on a second. It's always the first Tuesday in November. Why is it it's going to take you an extra 9 days to get it in? What's happening? Just curious. Why is it taking you this many extra days to get it in? So those lawsuits have already started. On the day, though, that's a big thing. Right now, I do believe we'll be at 100 million people that will have voted by midnight, Monday night into 12:01 Tuesday morning, the actual election day. How huge is that? And it is a huge advantage, I think, right now for the Democrats. But it's not as big as I think they thought it would be. And I think on the night, you're going to see a shift. Most Republicans are voting in person. They don't trust the mail. They think there's fraud. And look, I get that. I've said all along about I don't believe the fraud is as big as some people say. But I also think there's a lot of incompetence. And some states just aren't set up. Even when you saw what happened in New York, the primaries, Iowa, they still think they're trying to figure out what happened in Iowa. We're in situations here where there's going to be confusion. Absolutely. So that automatically sets up what could be a legal battle that's lengthy. Outside of a pure victory. I mean, just an absolute pure victory. Where we know on the night, so many people voted in such a way that it would be virtually impossible for the other one to say, you cheated. You know what, I get an answer the question now more than anything over the last week. More than anything. It used to be, up until about a week ago, who do you think is going to win? You know what I get now? Do you think there's going to be violence? Do you think there's going to be violence? Do you think there's going to be some crazy violence? I'm like, I do not believe. Doesn't mean there's not going to be skirmishes. People upset and angry. My God, nowadays, you see what happened at Dodgers won the World Series. People went outside, started breaking stuff. It's nuts. Yeah. So, yeah, I think there'll be some stuff. But Trump has to have everything break his way. Nate Silver was right about that.
In the South, it's more of a story about turnout and demographics and new voters, potentially. Or it might be more a story of upscale suburbs flipping to Biden in Georgia, for example. You know, we're so used to thinking of Florida as purple and Georgia as red. But in our polling averages, Biden's ahead by 1.4 points. Not a big lead, obviously, within the margin of error, but the same margin in both Georgia and Florida. So there's no longer a divide between them, apparently.
It's close. Trump needs to make sure that he holds serve in places that he should have held serve in all the time. Like California, New York, they're always going to be blue. The thought process was Texas was always going to be red. You got to have some place for the Republicans. But that's changing. The demographics are changing. Arizona used to be dead red. Not only is Arizona looking to go potentially from a very quick movement into purple in 2018 to blue, not just nationally, but also at the local level, Trump has to hold serve. He does. He has to. He's got to win Pennsylvania. He's got to win a Michigan. He's got to win a Wisconsin. He's got to, those things. He's got to win at least two of those and hold serve if he wants to win. It's not impossible, but the reality is it's based on the numbers we have right now. It looks damn near impossible, but we've seen this before. And in 2020 and in the age of Trump, you can't count anything out at all. So it'll be very interesting to see how it plays itself out. And Texas, to me, is still mind-boggling.
The early voting tsunami continues. 75 million casting their ballots across the country. Texas leads the nation with more than 8 million already voting. That is 90% of the entire vote from 2016.
Nice to meet you. Let me give you
Democrat Beto O'Rourke lost a narrow Senate race in 2018, but saw a huge increase in turnout. He is now canvassing with COVID restrictions to try and turn the state blue.
Texas could end this country's national nightmare on the night of November 3rd.
Biden trails by just 4 points in the polls.
Now, I think Trump will hold it. I do. I think he's going to hold serve in Texas, but that's close. Too close for comfort. Like, you're not getting that in New York and you're not getting that in California. You're not getting, wow, did you see? Trump, he got 48% of the vote in California. You're not getting that. It's going to be a blowout there. And if Texas ever went blue, it's over for the Republicans. You got nothing left at that point. You got nothing left. If Biden won Texas, he could lose Pennsylvania and and Wisconsin. It doesn't matter at that point. But while we talk about all of this stuff, the reality is what does it really look like? What does it look like? Polls are surging. Early ballots are in. Places where it looked like it was a blue tsunami, if you look at see who's casting the ballots, doesn't say who they vote for. Certain places, all of a sudden, the red side has caught up. Doesn't mean they're voting for Trump, but it's interesting. Florida is another battleground state, which will always be a battleground state. That's one of the few places where you say, well, they're pretty purple.
Republicans in the Sunshine State making a surge. On Monday, they trailed Democrats in early voter turnout by more than 350,000. That is now down to less than 250,000 in just 2 days.
Trump needs it. He does. He needs it. It's not, I'm not saying it's impossible. I know a lot of people out there. My gut says that it's going to be very close. Doesn't mean electoral college-wise it'll be very close, but I do believe the popular vote will be very close. And what does that mean? Even if Trump loses, he started a movement. He started a movement of people that felt like they were being looked down upon, felt like that California and New York and D.C. want to what? Run the world. They want to run the world, and they think everybody else should do exactly what they say.
These are the elites who want to preach to the rest of the world how we conduct our lives, what we can even say occasionally. That's what we're up against.
And that was the beauty of Trump. Came out, says the things he says. He's not PC. He's horrible. He's evil. He's bad. He's the orange guy. Oh, God, he tweets horrible things. He lies all the time. But he did start a movement. A lot of people like the fact that he is the voice that they feel they no longer have. Because people in California, New York, D.C. feel that everybody else is basically knuckle draggers.
I'm the only one of the four leaders not from New York or California. I look out for Middle America, and in particular, Kentucky. They look down their noses at us.
There's something to that. There absolutely is something to that. He started a movement. Is it a movement based solely on Trump, or will the Republicans seize the moment if they lose this, reset themselves, and go from there? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Check out Chad Benson Show TV on YouTube. Try to post at least a video a day, as well as our Facebook. Legacy Box. Told you guys the other day my grandfather passed away. And, you know, some of the things we've been doing over the last several months, because we knew he was struggling, so we're going through old photos. We're going through pictures and, VHS and some stuff. And same thing with my that was on my dad's side. My mom's side, finding pictures of my dad and things that I haven't seen in years and, having it all in one place. And that's where Legacy Box comes in. So what you do is you go to legacybox.com/Benson. Right, you're going to save 40% off with your first order when you use that, and you say, "Hey, I want to preserve these things." What is it? You got stuff trapped on VHS tapes or even film reels? What's your favorite memory that's out there that you would love to see preserved? They're going to digitally preserve it all for you. They're going to touch it up. It's going to look amazing. And I love it. So we've sent off 2 boxes so far, and you get a little like a barcode thing, and you can track where the process is. And they've got this huge place where they got people who only specialize in doing stuff like this. They've helped almost a million families digitally preserve the past. And then when you're ready and they're ready, they send it to you in a DVD, on a cloud, thumb drive, whatever it is. And it is amazing. And especially think about it, the holidays are coming up. Imagine being able to give your family, hey, look at the stuff that we did. We went through all these pictures. We put stuff together. It is truly awesome. And I don't care what it is. You want your baby's first steps, your grandmother and grandfather's wedding, whatever it is, you want to preserve it. This is what you do with Legacy Box. Start now. Your memory proofing, your future proofing. Go to legacybox.com/Benson. 40% off with your first order. Buy today. Take advantage. Exclusive offer. Send in when ready. Go to legacybox.com/Benson. 40% off right there while supplies last. Chad Benson Show.
Set Chad straight. Text the show 323-538-2423. That's 323-538-CHAD. Someone has to do it. Might as well be you. The Chad Benson Show.
With Sleepy Joe, there'd be no graduations, no weddings, no Thanksgiving. They're already talking about no Thanksgiving. And in California, you have a special mask. You cannot, under any circumstances, take it off. You have to eat through the mask. And they don't realize those germs, they go through it like nothing. And boy, when you have spaghetti and meat sauce, that mask is not looking. You walk out, it looks like you got into a fight with Dana White. Where's Dana? You don't have Christmas, you don't have the 4th of July. No, we got to get back to normal, but you got to open up the states.
Trump. It's a battle of COVID. People, yesterday, I'm trying to point out Trump's record up until COVID. And then, of course, everything after COVID. Look, it's on you, bro. That's the reality of it. It's on you. Up until COVID, you come out. Was it the greatest economy ever? Probably top 2 or 3. Did you do a lot of things that absolutely energized the economy? Yeah, I think you did. Nobody wants to give you credit for it, but they do want to give you blame for everything. That, to me, is the insanity. And I just told the guys, I said, I feel like we're losing the battle with reason in this country. We're losing it. We've lost something somewhere where we can't have a conversation anymore. We can't have a debate. It's no longer about actual facts. It's about feelings. It's no longer about whether or not this is true or not true. It's how does this make me feel? Did this offend me? Did this upset me? This orange guy's really mean. His tweets are really mean. I'm voting for Joe Biden because I think he's going to be more empathetic. Okay. Will he be more productive? I don't know. Maybe he won't, but he'll be nicer. So you're based on his personality of his nicerness. And I'm not advocating you vote for Trump or anybody. It's just somewhere along the line. And people ask me why I don't hate Trump. Because first of all, I don't get people, any politician, rent in my head like that for free. You're going to live in there? You're not paying rent? You know who lives in there? Your family. And they're paying rent because they got to deal with you and you got to deal with them. But we have lost this, it's like we have to either love him or hate him. We can't judge him by actions. And even if you judge him by actions, that is also being judged by people, making sure you're judging him the right way they want you to judge him by. It's nuts. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet, text. Check out Chad Benson Show TV on YouTube. It's Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Yeah, I think we'll be gradually back. I think we'll be back in theaters with spaced seating and perhaps masks, clearly by maybe the third quarter of 2021. In theaters with no masks at maximum capacity, I think it's going to be well over a year.
Oh, theater owners must be stoked. Movie industry must be thrilled. So, Fauci, that's a long time, guys. So think about that. That is a huge blow to the movie industry, of which I enjoy. Last year I saw probably about 35 movies. This year I've seen one. That's it. One movie, nothing else. Now, we've got Netflix and all these other things. Could you imagine if this was, say, the 80s or even the 70s when we really didn't have, VHS and any of that stuff, and there wasn't cable TV like we have now? I think we had Select and On TV. These might have been the first two things that were available depending on where you lived. And we only had, what we had. That's crazy. So at least we have that. But it's not just about the movies. It's about, if you're thinking that's not going to happen to 2021, that means we're not going to have fans at sporting events, really. We're not going to be doing what we like to do. The mask thing is going to be a long time before we are going to be taking it off. And by then, it'll probably just be a habit. I bet you after all is said and done, there will still be a sizable part of America that won't go mask-free, especially in a public setting. It'll just kind of become something that is.
the importance of walking that fine line of maintaining the public health without so damaging the economy that you're essentially negating the good that you're trying to do. I firmly believe that you can continue to open businesses, that you can continue to open up the country from an economic standpoint, restaurants, stores, and shops and things like that, without necessarily shutting things down.
Yeah. Is that true? Yeah, I absolutely do. The mask thing. Here's the thing with the mask thing. Whether you want to believe this or not, and people, it's not a hoax. It's real. Is it as deadly as they say? No, it is not. The mortality rate is, if we go by just what they have, what we know as far as how many have been infected and how many have died, 2%? If we say it's probably 10 times as many people have been infected, that drops well under 1%. We're heading towards flu-like numbers, probably still a little bit more deadly than the flu, but that's without a vaccine. That's without therapeutics. That's without ever being exposed to it. Because 80 million, they're saying? 60 million? 70 million? I don't know how many. Some people say it's 10 times as much. Some people say it's 7 times as much. But let's just say it's 60 million people that have had it, most of them asymptomatic or have had very light symptoms. So that's flu-like numbers. As far as you know, when you get down to it, the difference is, though, it spreads so much bigger. We talked about the net is so much larger. Right now, you look at the hospitalizations. That's a big thing to look at to see how bad is this second wave. France just announced today they're having a national shutdown again. Germany's not too far behind. And, of course, Italy's still in shutdown, and they're rioting because they felt like, hey, we're not only losing a year, nothing seems to be changing.
One, I think hospitals are a lot less overtaxed now than they were in the early days, and we know that has a big impact on mortality. Two, we are seeing a different mix of patients who are getting hospitalized now. We're seeing more young people without any pre-existing conditions, which might be a little concerning in and of itself, but I think they're more likely to recover, so the mortality rate's going down. And then third, we actually are getting some tools in our toolbox here to combat coronavirus finally.
Yeah. And the way that they're not putting you on a ventilator anymore because they realize, okay, the ventilator thing for a lot of people, that wasn't bad. That wasn't good. That was a bad thing. The way that they're treating it's better. Plus, who's getting it is important. Why is it important? Well, a 22-year-old is probably going to recover from this rather easily. Even people that are elderly who get this, it's not a death sentence. Now, they're more likely to die from it. But we make it out to be, it's like, well, if 10 elderly people get it, 9 are going to die. And that's not true. Chances are 8 are going to survive. Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah. But we've made it out. It's to be this. And it shows you, like, you'll see this thing, every 2 seconds somebody gets COVID in America. But you never put up every 1/10 of 1 second, somebody recovers from it. Because it's the doom scrolling we enjoy. And COVID is playing havoc in a lot of different ways. One of them is school. My son is a perfect example. Which we were told this week, there will be no school for him in person until at least February. Late January, early February. The reason that they're not even thinking about it is because Thanksgiving, they figure people are going to get together. And so you would probably need at least a 2-week run up to see how many people are infected. Then you have Christmas, same kind of thing. Into the new year, people traveling. So they figure late January, early February before they even think about him going back to school. He is doing so much better because he goes to a place at his school to do online learning. Don't ask. It's stupid. Welcome to the weird world we live in. So he sees some of his friends. But before that, he was beyond struggling. It was a huge struggle. And I'm talking to a lot of people who are saying, man, my kid is struggling. They're flunking. They're struggling like you couldn't believe. And they're getting inundated with homework like you couldn't believe. And that's driving them crazy because they're getting just a tiny little itty bitty portion of lessons in person or on Zoom. And then the rest of it's assigned to them and they're struggling. And it's nuts. It's completely nuts. I'm like, where do you go from here? Speaking of homework, I found this to be interesting. So this is a lady, Courtney White's her name. She's from Texas. She takes TikTok. She's doing stuff. And people are kind of like giving her some crap because she's a teacher that doesn't do something that everybody thinks should be done.
And a lot of people coming at me, other teachers, for saying that I'm not doing my job because I'm not assigning homework. But there's no proof that homework is going to make them better students in my class. I respect their time outside of class. They work hard for me all day. They don't need to go home and do more homework.
Yeah. I like that. She's my kind of teacher.
Most of my students are high schoolers. They have jobs. They have FFA. They have sports. They're in practice. They're in band. They have other responsibilities outside of school. Some of them are going home and taking care of their younger siblings because their parents are at work. Some of them just need to go home and sleep. Some of them have to go home and worry about how they're going to eat because there's no food at their house. So if I also give them hours of homework, when do they have time to be kids? When do they have time to relax? Because when you get off of work, you want to go home and relax.
I love this. And you got a teacher who's talking about this. It's a great thing to talk about. I had a couple teachers who are like this, and I remember one teacher told me, if you can't get it done in the 8 hours you're here, you're not going to get it done the right way when we're not doing it together. And I'm like, I get that. It's the same thing with work. Sometimes you have to go over and you have to do above and beyond and things like that. That I totally get. But with the kids, it's crazy. I see some of this, like with Jack and his school. His school is really into school. We've talked about the fact that my son's 10 years old, and his school is optional Saturday schooling that's not required, but it's highly encouraged. And I put my foot down and I said, no, he's a little kid, right? He's going to have fun. He's going to live his life. He's going to play sports. He's going to be well-rounded. He's not going to be burnt out. But he'll bring home, in the normal circumstances, he was bringing home sometimes 2 hours of homework a night. That's insane. That is nuts.
If they're not coming to my class, like emotionally in a good place, or they're ridiculously tired, or they have something going on outside of class, they're not going to be their best selves when they're in my class. So if I could just take like a small portion of the stress away from them by not assigning extra assignments, then give them the little extra love that they need in class, then maybe I can reach them better and teach them more than them staying up all night to complete homework that I could easily help with them in class.
I like this. Her name's Courtney White, teacher, Texas. You can drive people hard. You can demand things of kids, and that's a good thing to stretch them. But there is a point when they're still just kids. And I think we forget that, right? Like even now with the coronavirus, for God's sakes, they're talking about canceling. We're going to cancel Halloween. Why are you going to cancel Halloween? Because of the coronavirus. What did the coronavirus do to Halloween? Well, you could get it. You're not going to get it. You ringing a doorbell or knocking on somebody's door and saying trick or treat and then putting a piece of candy in there is not going to give you the coronavirus. It's not. Well, people could gather. People gathering at a party is not trick or treating. This is it. Let kids be kids. We've lost this kind of weird fine art of being a parent and allowing them to go for a run at the park by themselves, to ride their bike down the street by themselves, to not demand, hey, you know what? You can drive your kids and want them to be the best, but you've also got to allow them to be kids. And we always talk about, look how great Europe is, the way they do schooling. The way they do schooling is very rarely do they have homework until they get to a certain portion. And usually the homework they start to get isn't so much homework for that schooling, it's to prepare themselves for another level. Along the way, they're allowed to be kids. Places like Holland and Finland and Sweden and the Scandinavian countries and all the stuff they talk about, going to school is a much more casual way. They're less demanding in a lot of ways than we are here. And it's good to have drive, but sometimes it's too much. It is. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. Car Shield. 24/7 roadside assistance. Rental car for free while your car's in the shop. You choose the shop. They get them paid directly. Plans start as low as $99 a month. Why would you need Car Shield? Because you like your wallet, don't you? Your bank account. You would like to protect it and cover it from covered repairs. That's what Car Shield's all about. So you call Car Shield. 800-CAR-6000. Use that code Benson. Saves you 10%. You tell them exactly what you're looking for. You say, you know what, I got a 2007. It's got 100,000 miles on it. I don't have a warranty, but I'm worried about the engine. They say, well, we got a plan for you. Maybe your car's a little bit newer and the engine's fine, but you've got electronics in there and you're worried about that. They've got a plan that's right for you. Plans start again as low as $99 a month. You pay a small deductible. They get them paid directly. And again, take it to who you want to. Take it to your dealership. Find out for yourself how you can protect yourself with cover repairs. Don't fear that check engine light. Go to carshield.com, carshield.com. Use promo code Benson or call 800-CAR-6000. Use the promo code Benson to save 10%. A deductible may apply. Chad Benson Show.
Deep states? No. Deep doo-doo? Yeah. The Chad Benson Show.
Now it's time for Chad's Evil Countdown. The best horror movies of all time. Can you handle it? Are you afraid? You should be.
I love it. I do it every single year. My favorite horror movies. Interesting about horror movies is some movies I consider horror movies. Some movies, like my favorite movie of all time is Halloween, but I don't put it on the list because it's just my favorite movie. Yesterday was Paranormal Activity, maybe the most terrifying. This, today, number 2, is a movie called Wolf Creek. What's terrifying about this is it's based on a real story about a real person. The movie came out in 2005, and if you've not seen it, low-budget movie, filmed really well, Australian movie, starring John Jarrett, who you probably recognize him. He's been in Django and a bunch of other movies, Australian guy, pretty funny, well-respected actor. But it's based on the backpack murders, about a man by the name of Ivan Milat, who killed backpackers in Australia for decades. They just went missing. Wasn't a big deal. It's the outback, right? It's the outback. People go missing all the time. People miss. It just happens. But the movie is absolutely terrifying just because of who this guy was and how he did it. And the brazenness of which he did it, which was terrifying. And this guy was, well, he was, for all intents and purposes, as evil as it comes.
Wow. That's awesome. Looks like we might be spending the night. What the hell? Just stay in the car!
Ooh, spooky. This is where they meet Mr. Ivan.
What the bloody hell are you mob doing out here? Scared out of me.
So, where did you live?
Oh, I get around here. Never know where I might pop up.
What do you actually do?
I can tell you, but then I'd have to kill you.
And that's exactly what he did. A guy by the name of Paul Onion, I think his name, or Onions, got away from him in real life, reported it, went back to England, where he was from, and then when two backpackers went missing and were found, he recognized the area and said, I reported it. Why didn't anybody do anything about this? They brought him back over to Australia, and eventually Ivan Milat was convicted. He died last year in prison. How many people he killed, nobody knows. His family said there's a lot more out there, but it's out there in the middle of godforsaken nowhere. But the movie's terrifying because of how real it was and what he did. Almost for sport, that he killed these people and tortured them. And sometimes you think to yourself, as weird and as wacky as Hollywood can make things, the truth is more terrifying. And if you're looking for a movie that is terrifying and is scary because of the desolate nature of it and the hunting madman, Wolf Creek, #2, absolutely frightening. Check it out. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from you. Tweeted out earlier, I think we're losing the battle with reason in this country. I think we need more reason, more common sense, not less of it. And I feel like feelings have not only overridden fact now, they've become the fact of facts, which is just bizarre. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Don't mind me, I'm in the bath, but while I'm in here, I got a notification that Amy Coney Barrett was officially confirmed to the Supreme Court. I'm scared. I'm scared for me who need help. Everyone except white men. So, please vote next week.
We've lost reason in this country. We need to find it. I don't know where reason. We've lost it. And it's amazing that we have people that live in fear on a daily basis, but they're pumped fear. Fear this, fear that. There's a boogeyman here. This guy's orange and he's bad. He's evil. He's a racist. He's the worst person on earth. He's evil. He's all bad. And we should hate him with all of the fiber of our being because of all the bad things that he's done. And then you're like, okay, tell me all the bad things he's done. Well, he's a racist. Do you have absolute? Yeah, look what he said. Okay, and then you go back and you say, well, this is what he really said. And you're like, well, still, he didn't condemn it the way I wanted it condemned. And you don't even know. And he's taken over everything. And the democracy of the world is going to be snatched away, especially ours. Let's not forget our lovely screaming lady.
I'm terrified. Listen to me, Republicans. Listen. You are the people in history they warned us about. They warned us about people like you! Pay attention! We're losing our democracy! Wake up! Wake up!
She's super sane. We should play that every day. So this can be my new ringtone. Why does it matter? Because the insanity that's out there. People... Facts are facts. Feelings, they're just that. They're feelings. The emotions of this, the anxiety that is causing both sides is ridiculous. How have we lost our democracy? Can you still vote? Yeah, we lost our freedom of press? No. Now, the freedom of speech is being challenged on a daily basis. All you have to do is look at big tech. Look, I don't buy in. People ask me all the time about the Biden thing. And I'm going to touch on this very quickly, and then I'm going to move on. Is there in the Hunter Biden's laptop? There may be. Do I think that there is a lot more there than he's ever led on to believe? Absolutely. Do I think there would, if this was Trump and the situation was reversed, we'd hear about 24/7, yes, but what should scare you the most is the way the media ignored everything. What should scare you the most is the way that tech went and ignored everything and stopped you from going to find it. I said this last night. You Google some of the stuff, you can't find it, but you Google executions and you can find it. That's insane. It is. We've lost reason. People are terrified. Trump's taking everything away from us. I'm more worried about what's behind Biden, not Biden. The fear that Trump is the boogeyman. Listen to this. This is the newest, latest commercial from our good friends over there at the Lincoln Project. This is the latest commercial. And this just shows you the insanity that's out there. Lady walks into a bedroom. Little child is sleeping.
Hey, honey.
She's waking him.
You asked me to wake you and tell you what happened in the election. Who won? Trump. Trump won.
But I thought you could only be president 2 times.
Not anymore.
Is that insane? Is that insane? Not anymore. We've lost the plot. We have allowed the insane to run everything. Trump's insane. Fine, call him insane. Think about that for a second, though. Not anymore. Now you can be president forever. He's king. Never going to happen. It's never going to happen. It's just not. Like, who's that for? Who's that for? Just who? You really think that's going to happen? Oh, totally. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. That is nuts. Because we've lost reason. We've lost personal responsibility and actually understanding facts, looking out there and saying, That's not real. That's not real. But people go, oh my God, really? He's going to try to do it? Oh, I could totally see him doing it. Shut up. We've lost it. We have. And to me, I'm sorry. It's just, I get so frustrated because we should be able to have conversations in this country about real stuff. You know, your kids, your family, sports, this, that, and the other. We used to. Now we see each other only through the prisms of the red and the blue, and my glasses are red, your glasses are blue. I don't like you, and you don't like me. Why don't I like you? I don't know. We got a lot in common. But we've replaced any kind of real opportunity to converse and debate with one another over opposing views because we've allowed facts to be replaced by feelings and fear to override all of it. Both sides do it. I'm telling you guys right now, both sides are guilty. Trump was out there, Biden's going to take away everything. I'm not worried about Biden. I don't worry about Biden. Do I have some fear about what may be behind him? I absolutely do. Especially in a day and age where identity politics rules, where you could be canceled in an instant for God knows what, where you are judged not on your actions, but on things that you might say, on things that you might believe. To me, that's scary. To me, that should frighten all of us. And when I talked about the Hunter Biden laptop, the fact that they're not covering it, even a little bit, is not good. Hunter, by the way, the Bidens have never denied that it's the laptop. They've never denied any of it. And you don't have to believe any of it. But the fact that it didn't even peak a little bit, or that you were blocked from searches, or that you were banned from Twitter for even posting something about it. To me, that's the stuff that scares me. That is. As a grown-ass man, I should have the right to understand what I'm looking up, to find out the facts about something. And by you telling me this is a lie, it makes me more curious because shouldn't I see that for myself? No, I don't think it has any bearing on anything. That's Hunter Biden. If Joe is compromised or this, that, and the other, trust me, the Republicans will chase that down till the end of time. And I don't think it has a bearing on the election because the reality is at the end of the day, people are voting mostly with the COVID in mind, not Hunter Biden. But the scary part of all of this is the way that it's been handled by big tech and the media and the ignoring of it. That, to me, is the scary part. Let me, as a grown-ass man, to decide for myself. Let me decide for myself if flat Earth is flat or not. You don't have to do that. Who are you protecting? These are the things that should scare you. Not what Trump says or doesn't say. These kind of things. Well, Chad, he's really hard on the media. And the media's still there. He's an authoritarian dictator. Is he? Because the last time I checked, every dictator I have ever seen doesn't allow a free press to come after him the way they go after him without being hung, not in effigy, in real life. What should scare you is stuff like that. Oh, he's going for a third term. Oh. It's crazy. That's the things that you should be worried about. We do have an issue here where our true, not just our free speech, whether or not you have the right to say it, but whether or not you have the right to consume it. So you're going to put up a way to block searches for it or tweets or this, that, and the other. I can go online and I can find people being executed, people being killed by the cartels and terrorists, people doing bizarre fetishy-like things, but the Hunter Biden is a bridge too far? I'm sorry. Now I'm more curious rather than less curious. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. Hello, Fresh. Hello, Fresh. We had burgers last night. It was delicious. It was delicious. Jack, he eats fast. I just want to let you guys know that. My son's 10 and he's growing. He's like 8 feet tall now. It's weird. He's 10 and it's like his shoe size is almost my size. And I'm just like, my God. So it's like flippers. But HelloFresh is great. So what do you get? 22 chef-curated recipes every week. We talk about that stuff. But you get we're going with the family-friendly option. They have low calorie, which I'll probably do when Jack goes home. And they've got the vegetarian options. But they've got the fall that's in here. What I love about it is I don't have to think about it. I go home. I said, all right, we're going to do this. We know exactly what we're doing. And if you really think about it, having something ready to roll and you know what you're going to do cuts down like 80% of the time that you're thinking about. What do we do? How do I make it? Do I have enough? Let's look through it. It's right there. You assemble it. You put it together. In about 15 to about 25, 30 minutes, depending on what you're making, boom, you sit down and you eat. And I love that. I do. It is great. And I'm saving huge money, too. By the way, I cut down on average, they say 40%. For me, it's probably about 50% versus shopping at the store because I'm not buying a bunch of junk, which is great. So I've added extra meals this week. Some time in the future, I'll be traveling again. And so the weeks I'm not home, I will pause my deliveries. HelloFresh is amazing. They're flexible to fit your lifestyle. Save $80 across 5 boxes and get free shipping on your first box. Go to HelloFresh.com. Use the promo code Benson. HelloFresh.com. Use that promo code Benson. HelloFresh.com. Promo code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
Check out our Chad Benson Show Facebook page where you can hang out or hang your grievances out to dry. This is Chad Benson.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? Let's talk about what's trending. Let's look around. Look around the magical world of the interwebs. Chaos and craziness is trending. France on a super duper lockdown. Yeah. Super double triple duper lockdown. Germany also in a lockdown. They seem to do all the things that everybody wants them to do. It's the question over here when we all blame Trump for everything, and that's totally fine. You know, like you're the head of this. You're going to get the blame for it. That's the way it is. But when I look over at other places that are struggling now with a second or third wave, and they've done everything correctly, including masking up and social distancing, I think it's a fair thing to ask the question. If those things don't work, what then? Dodgers still trending because of the positive test for COVID of Justin Turner. And not only the fact that he was positive in the testing of COVID, the fact that he played in the game, and the fact that afterwards he celebrated with his teammates after they pulled him out of the game knowing he had tested positive, and he gave his wife a kiss. People are like, I can't believe he did that. I'm like, I'm pretty sure they've met. And here's another thing. How in a bubble that they were in. So remember, during the baseball season, they had their little issues at the beginning, and they kind of got it going on a decent path. Then during the playoffs, they were in Texas inside of a bubble, kind of like what they did with the NBA. That question's not being asked is, if he didn't go anywhere and nobody else came in except for people that are already proved, authorized, and tested, how did he get COVID-19? Oh, I never thought of that. Yeah, I know. I didn't. Head over to Twitter. Find out who's hating who right now. 3 people were killed in Nice, France, in a terrorist attack. Yeah, it was a knife attack. Jack Nicklaus, the Golden Bear, has has endorsed President Trump with a tweet and said, get out and vote, and I did. And so my assumption is that we are supposed to be canceling him. I'm not quite sure if that's it. I mean, that's kind of where we go with things now, right? You endorse Trump, then we have to cancel you because he's orange and bad and evil and all of those things. And he's the boogeyman. And so for that, you should be canceled. You're like, oh. And 5 days is trending. Because why? We're 5 days away. 5 days away from the big day. 6 days away from not having to, I'm going to say it, see any more damn videos. Whew. See any more ads. See any more pre-roll. Hear any more commercials for the politicians. I think we can all agree that's a good deal. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet, text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. Again, 5 days away. What are the polls saying? When I say I'm not afraid of Biden, I'm not. Biden's an okay dude. He's the most corrupt politician in history. He's not the most corrupt politician. Let's all slow down on that one, Trump. That's what I'm going to call BS on that. Not the most corrupt politician in history. But I do worry about something. And I'll tell you why the Republicans, should Biden win, will do everything they can to keep him in power. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Twitter, tweet, text, Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
A record number of Americans now believe in Medicare for all and believe that that's the right path for our future. Despite millions, if not billions of dollars of fossil fuel money and lobbying and media campaigns to smear the Green New Deal, a majority of people still believe in this country that a Green New Deal is the right way forward.
It sounds great till you read about it, right? All of it sounds great. Hey, I'd like to give everybody great health care, and it's going to cost you absolutely nothing. Ooh, yeah, that sounds awesome. The Green New Deal, yeah, it's going to be green. It's going to be great. We're going to save penguins. Everybody's going to get electric cars, and we're going to have this amazing, we're going to be carbon neutral. It's all of this stuff. It's going to, our footprint will be, it'll be nullified. No, this is going to be beautiful. Oh yeah, that sounds great. Equity for all, and that includes outcome, not just an opportunity, but the outcome. Oh God, that sounds great. Now, how are you going to pay for it? Oh. You want to know? Yeah. There's ways. Well, what ways? Unicorns? Huh? Unicorns? All of these things sound great. We need to do better on healthcare. Oh, God, yeah. And I'm all about choice. I've said for a very long time, give people the public-private option. Public-private option. If you want to opt into something, let them opt into it. And much like a lot of networks, with the Kaiser and places like this, across the country where this is what you're part of this thing right here, whatever it is. And you won't get a bill, but your taxes will be much higher. Because we can do that. We can walk and chew gum at the same time. I don't think anybody should go broke because of a heart attack or cancer. But I also understand those things are expensive. I mean, you see what's going on now with the vaccine. You do realize we walked through the steps last year. It takes about 10 years to get something approved. 10 years. So... But there's better ways to do healthcare. Absolutely. No doubt in my mind. Like everything else, like the Green New Deal. Like we've talked about this ad nauseum. People want to fix climate change. But then when you ask them, how much are you willing to spend? It was less than $100 a year. Because everybody wants something good as long as somebody else is paying for it. Of course I want that. Of course that would be great. Or this would be great. Okay, but here's the deal. You got to pay. Well, slow down. And everybody wants that thing. We can do these things. We can wean ourselves off fossil fuel. We can build cleaner, better energy, which we can. But it is not an overnight thing. And we need stuff that's reliable, that we can count on. And that is going to take a while to get to that point. I got zero problems with that. But I also know I like having my car. I like driving to work. I like knowing that when I go to get into my car, it's going to start. It's going to go. That I'm not waiting on something. That I'm not hoping and praying. I don't for a second think even Republicans who are staunch conservatives want dirty air and water. Some people are like, let the free market take care of itself. Other people are like, no, we need to regulate the hell out of it. But these radical policies, as some people call them, they all sound great. Because like everything else from, and I'm not talking about the average classic liberal Democrat. I'm talking about from the uber progressives. All of them sound great because they're all based on feelings. Who doesn't want to save the earth? Who doesn't want to save the whales? Who doesn't want to save all of those things sound fantastic. It's tugging at your heartstring. It's emotion. But then when you get into the details, the details, a little sketchy. And a lot of it's also about control. And that's what the left doesn't get. About the right. The right's like, hold on a second. You guys want to do all these things and you want to cede control to a lot of different people that I don't want that. I don't know about you, but I don't want to. I like my own control as best that I can in this dimension because there's other dimensions. Do you want to give up more control? No. Do you want to pay more and more for stuff? No. No, I really don't. So how do we get there? Well, we're going to get there the same way you eat an elephant, right? It's one bite at a time. The old famous, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And that's the way we'll get there. Some people want to jump right to there. You can't do that.
And so it just goes to show the power that you all have in shifting the public consciousness in a radically new direction in a very short period of time. And this type of work is exactly the kind of work that we're going to need even the day after the election to continue beating that drum, because our political establishment is only as useful as how much we organize and pressure it to act.
Well, if it's so awesome, you shouldn't have to pressure anybody. If it's so awesome, it should be easily done. Right? Like if something is amazing, people want to do it. And of course, people want to do certain things until you find out what they have to do to contribute to those things. Then people start thinking, I don't know. When I talk about Biden, I'm not scared of Biden. And I'll tell you why. The Republicans that I have talked to who are in Congress and a senator have said Biden doesn't scare him. What behind him scares him. You don't ever have to worry about Biden being impeached. You have to worry about that for a hot second. He ain't going anywhere. As long as you can stand, you're not going anywhere. As long as you're alive, you're going to be president. And the reason's pretty simple. Because the radical behind scares. Even some liberals I talk to, again, classic liberals, not progressives, classic Democrats, liberal in the ever sense of the word, are like, some of this stuff feels a little bit much for me. And the Green New Deal is one of those things where all of it sounds amazing because it's all based on feelings and cuddles and stuff. And at the end of the day, like everything else, when you put it into practice, you find out that there's prices to be paid. And a lot of the people that you purportedly want to help, you end up hurting the most. Dan Crenshaw.
It's not just the loss of millions of jobs. It's higher electricity prices. It's rolling blackouts. Just look to California. This is what happens. And you know what else? It's higher global emissions. You know why? Because as it turns out, energy demand throughout the world will increase by 25-30% over the next couple decades. So who's going to provide that energy? It's going to end up being Russia, Saudi Arabia, Iran. Russian natural gas has 47% higher emissions than U.S. natural gas. So Democrats want to destroy U.S. natural gas, prevent us from exporting cleaner natural gas to the world, which, by the way, is responsible for reducing emissions in the U.S. down to 1990 levels.
No, that's bad, Dan. Stop with this whole craziness of facts. That's just lunacy. But it's also about other kind of control. Who do you want controlling certain situations? Who do you want buddying up with certain countries? That's a very real thing.
So you're going to have, under Democrats' Green New Deal, you're actually going to get higher global emissions. This is how crazy their plan is. Destroy American jobs, destroy the American energy sector, destroy our American energy independence, and it's bad for the environment. You can't vote for these people. I mean, their plans are so awful and so bad for Texas and for our economy and for the world.
Ooh, well, that sounds like he's a meanie. He's a meanie weenie. But is there truth there? Yeah, I think there's some serious truth there. I want clean water. I want clean air. I want all the things that everybody else does. And I think we can get there in a smart, real, reliable, dependent way without hurting the people that it would absolutely hurt and destroying us along the way. But as she said, we got to get there quick. We got to get there responsibly. Getting there quick doesn't mean anything if you don't get there responsibly, because by the time you get there, you want to make sure they're still there. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. I do love hearing from every single one of you. Geez, Chad, that was pretty mean. It's just an honest thing. I'm fine with the Green New Deal if it's about getting there in a responsible way. Is it? No, it's not. It's crazy. It's lunacy. I've read it. You know it and I know it. But because you feel good about it. That's the whole thing. It's about feeling good. How do you feel about it? I feel good. I feel good. I feel good about it. Now, doesn't translate into anything. And I've asked this over and over again, and it has a lot to do with Trump. As Trump is at times extremely awful. Says a bunch of stuff that's absolute crap. And there's a lot of truth in the crap. And there's a lot of BS in the crap. And a lot of times when he's telling the truth, he still manages to lie. And a lot of times when he's lying, there's some truth in there. I know, it's weird. Unpack it. But we have to ask ourselves in a lot of ways. Do you want to be told what you want to hear, or do you want to hear the truth? I think we live in a world now where too many people want to be told what they want to hear, not what they need to hear. And we should worry about that. It's the whole facts matter, not feelings. You can deliver real facts in an empathetic way that may go against somebody without being a Richard. But sometimes people don't want that. They'd rather be told to lie if it affirms their position and makes them feel better. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from all of you. Raycon, best earbuds around, E25s. I love them. I work out a lot. I do. I try to work out as much as I can, and I'm not. Like lately, I just haven't been able to do it. I'm only getting to golf. I haven't been playing soccer just because we're doing so much. We're getting ready for the election. I got my son here, but I tell you what, when I go out, it is so nice to put those in, these E25s, and to work out and kind of get lost in a world where it's just great. The noise isolating fit is amazing. The comfortability is incredible. The sound quality, the seamless Bluetooth pairing, all of it is awesome. And there's no stems, there's no wires, and the price point is well under $100. When normally you'd spend $250 on something like these. They are the best earbuds around. They're E25s. They're from Raycon. Get yours now. Go to buyraycon.com/Chad. Save an extra 15%. Buyraycon.com/Chad. Buyraycon.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
Being antisocial sucks. Hang with Chad's friends on Facebook, The Chad Benson Show. And if you just need some alone time, head on over to Twitter at Chad Benson Show. Either way, we can't wait to meet the real you.
More evidence smoking can kill. Data collected from the U.S. National Health Interview Survey shows smokers who start young are 3 times more likely to die early from heart disease or stroke. The survey looked at some 400,000 smokers and non-smokers between 1997 and 2014 and grouped them by the age they started to light up. About 5,000 died before the age of 75 from heart disease or stroke. The increased risk highest among those smoking before age 10 and still high for those who began before age 15. But those who quit by age 40 reduce their risk of premature death by 90%.
What?
Highest among those smoking before age 10.
Who smokes at 9? Producer Phil, did you ever know anybody who smoked at 9?
Nope, not a one.
Hey, teachers, when's the recess? Yeah, I gotta smoke. Do we really need a report about smoking that says it's bad for you? I think at this point, it's pretty conclusive. Smoking is bad for you. I don't know how many times. So wait, if I start at 2 and I smoke till I'm 70, there's a good chance I could get heart disease? What? We should do a study. So funny. Who thinks of this? We should totally do a study on this. Should absolutely do a huge study on this. And I just can't believe there was that smoking toddler, right? Wasn't he in was he in Malaysia or somewhere? Remember that little kid that was famous and he was like smoking and he was like 2 or 3? Okay, outside of him, I don't know. And I'm sure somebody's going to text me or Twitter me, my friend or I, but I've never seen anybody smoke at that age. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from all of the peoples out there. Excited. We got Halloween this week. We will be going out and doing trick-or-treating. And I did that thing yesterday about trick-or-treating, and I had a lot of you say, thanks for saying that. It's just the fact that we were talking about not having trick-or-treating the way that we've had it before because of this insanity is crazy. And you can take, even my on-air co-host for my other show, Gatos, is extremely worried about the spread of this and thinks, it's irresponsible to leave the house without a mask and all of these kind of things. Pardon me. One thing he did say, he says to me, this kind of stuff is stupid. These kind of things, we can do it in a very real way and responsible way. People are like, should you wear a mask under your mask? And I'm like, are you serious right now? Are we doing this? No. Let kids be kids.
No one wants to take the happy out of Halloween, right? But there are ways to keep your family safe. The Tacoma County Health Department just released their recommendations. They created a rating system in which there are 3 levels of activities ranging from safe to scary. First, friendly ghost level. Carve a pumpkin, have a scavenger hunt, or online costume contest. Then there's clown level, which is a little more risky and includes handing out candy from a distance or having an outdoor costume parade. Now, the riskiest of all on the list, there's door-to-door trick-or-treating and crowded indoor parties, which are ideal conditions for spreading the disease.
How is trick-or-treating? I'm just curious. How is trick-or-treating? So I take my kids out, right? We go, we knock on a door. Trick-or-treat. Oh, hi. Oh, look at you. You're a pirate. Oh, here's some candy. And then we leave. And I'm outside, right? I'm not trick-or-treating indoors in a party. I'm going from door to door. I still would like somebody to tell me, well, somebody's giving you candy. That could spread that way. They're putting it in a bag, and you're bringing it home. Last time I checked, you got groceries, and you didn't worry about that. Well, still, I just want to know if somebody could tell me about this danger of knocking on 20 doors, being there for 10 to 15 seconds, and then walking is dangerous. Just curious. Color me curious. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Twitter, it's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
We are 5 days away from the big day. This will be the biggest, most important election of this year. I promise you that. How many people have voted? A ton. How many people may still vote? A ton. What's the biggest thing that is weighing on voters' minds? Coronavirus is one, but also the economy. And as we end the wacky world of October, we start to look forward to this fourth quarter. We also look back at what's going on in the past because we got hit hard in February and March. We took a huge fall. And are we rising?
The 33% GDP increase is the largest ever quarterly growth since World War II, and it follows the biggest ever drop when the economy shrank 31% in the prior quarter. Blame the pandemic for such an incredible swing. The economy is still well behind where it was in 2019 because of the virus-induced loss in economic activity. 751,000 laid-off Americans filed first-time claims for unemployment last week, the 32nd straight week of historically high jobless claims.
Yeah, and that, of course, is what a lot of people are thinking about. They're looking around there, and not just the health side of it. Because that, at first, when this was a complete unknown, the coronavirus here is complete unknown. How bad is it? We see what's going on in China, then in Europe, starting in Italy and moving across the board. It landed on our shores, and then we saw how bad it was in New York. And then once the shock of that and the shock of closing down businesses, limiting hours, limiting the amount of people you could have in your establishment, just watching anything that wasn't, quote unquote, the essential worker shutting down and going through that, then it started to go, okay, well, this isn't the death sentence, but it may be the death sentence for the economy, at least for a while. Well, the economy is doing everything it can to slowly but surely come back. Trump will be out talking about this today, as he should. He takes all of the blame, but you should also be able to say, well, you know, you're taking the blame for these things, but you should also be able to say, I'm going to take a victory lap on this one, because at this moment, it looks more of a V, but there's still a long way to go.
Yes, today's data point was better than expected. I don't want to take that out of context, but we've really just plateaued at this level where if you look since the lockdowns, nearly 40% of the U.S. working population has at one time or another, sometimes twice or three times, depending on that person's industry, had to apply for unemployment benefits. That's a pretty serious statement, 40%.
And how are we going to get back out there? That's the big thing. How do we get back out there? It's not the best. It's not the worst. It's better than they thought, but we're still in this situation where we're going through a second wave. Some places are going through a third wave. We're seeing things start to shut down again. We're seeing hours be limited and things of that nature. So we could be right back at it as we head into the flu season, but also as we head into the fourth quarter, which is normally the quarter, right? This is the quarter. Because you've got the holidays coming up, big spending. How does that look? People, they're not going to be traveling. They're not going to be spending the way they used to. What kind of damage is going to be done at the end of the year when a lot of people were hoping that, hey, struggle through the first quarter, especially the tail end, the second quarter, third quarter, start to see a rebound, and hopefully at the fourth quarter, we'll have taken off like a shot. Have we gotten to the point now where we're just going to stay here and then we're slowly going to surely come down? That's a possibility. Now, what happens from here with the virus is big. That can't be at all understated. We need to figure out what we're going to do because, remember, we live in a world where we're Democratic Republic. Each one of you who's listening to me is probably listening to me in a different state. You're podcasting me, you're streaming me, you're somewhere else. And your governor is going to play a bigger role than the federal government deciding on how your state is going to go. Stricter lockdowns, shutting down your business, restricting your hours, those things are going to matter as we move forward. And I don't know how your governor's going to react. I know here in Arizona, my governor, it's been somewhat lackadaisical. I'd be lying if I said he was anything but that. He's going to have a press conference today for the first time in like 6 weeks. Think about that. 6 weeks, no press conference, nothing. Quiet. He's going to have one today. Are we headed to more lockdowns? No. Why? Because he, I think, would like to be in the Trump administration, and he has really embraced Trump over the last several months, and he is, I think, looking for his next move, and quite frankly, our belief has been that if he wins Trump, that he is going to abdicate his throne in Arizona and leave. So he's been very quiet about lockdowns because and most Republican governors have. And the reason? Trump's trying to win re-election. Democratic governors have been very vocal about this. This is where the red and blue comes in. This is where the red and blue start to play its part. Where they're saying it's awful, it's bad, we need to close, all of these things, shut everything down, lock it up, no Thanksgiving, all that kind of stuff. And then on the red side, they're like, hey, you know what? We're not going to do those things. We're going to allow people to work. This is the way I feel. You're a grown adult. You're a grown-ass human being. You should be able to make a calculated risk on what you're willing to do. Yes, you respect others. You wear a mask. You try to social distance when applicable. Sometimes you're going to get into a position where you may stand in line and there may be, but you know what I mean? We can be aware. But I also think you should be allowed to live your life. And some of these arbitrary rules are not helping anything. And when you've got kids now who are going to school, then back home, then, okay, we're opening up again, then we're shutting down again, that is frustrating. It absolutely is. Dr. Jha.
My biggest concern is that we're not ready for this wave that's coming in front of us, and people are tired. I think there's a lot people can do to protect themselves, mask wearing, social distancing. But 8 months into this pandemic, this is not where we should be.
Well, where should we be? And I think this is a fair question. When you see what's going on in Europe, France right now, guess what they're getting ready to do?
President Macron has announced a nationwide lockdown. He said this wave is likely to be deadlier than the first. He's told his country that the virus is circulating in the population at a faster rate than even the most pessimistic models had predicted. Schools and essential businesses remain open, but citizens have been told, leave your home for any reason and you'll need to show documentation.
But they were doing everything. Germany shutting down. Italy shutting down. By the way, Italy's never really reopened. Most of these countries haven't reopened anywhere near what some of our states have reopened. They were doing everything right. And it still spread. That's what we have to ask ourselves. If social distancing isn't working anymore like people thought, and the mask isn't working the way that people thought, and now you're getting exhaustion from this, and people are getting frustrated, this is a recipe for extreme social unrest. So what happens here in the next couple weeks, especially as we head into the holiday season? First of all, we're going to have a contentious battle next week that may just be starting. You top that off with 8 months of people, for the most part, being somewhat locked up and or restricted in some area of their life. And then you've got a potential uncertainty of what may be a long legal battle. Yeah, this could get ugly. This could absolutely get ugly. So it's going to be interesting to see the way this thing plays out. But the economy news, it sounds good. But could all of that go right back to where we were if this thing gets out of control? And then you start saying to yourself, well, how do I base this? Hospitalizations is one. And mortality rate. Don't look at the positivity testing and this, that, all of that stuff. It's number. Look at the hospitalization. Are we at a crunch? Are we building certain places? Like some places right now that are struggling, this is the first time they've been struggling. Other places that went through it, they're still doing okay. They're taking a little bit more precautions. And they're understanding that some sort of second or third wave is here. But at the same time, they're not feeling the pressure they did the first time.
One, I think hospitals are a lot less overtaxed now than they were in the early days, and we know that has a big impact on mortality. Two, we are seeing a different mix of patients who are getting hospitalized now. We're seeing more young people without any pre-existing conditions, which might be a little concerning in and of itself, but I think they're more likely to recover, so the mortality rate's going down. And then third, we actually are getting some tools in our toolbox here to combat coronavirus finally.
And that's good. So mortality rate and hospitalizations, those are things that you look out for. You look at those things across the board. Those are the things that are going to tell you how this thing's going. If the mortality rate is rising and it's a younger generation, something to worry about. If it's dropping and you're seeing an expansion in the cases, but most of those people aren't landing in the emergency room and or the hospital, then even though there's more cases, there's less to probably worry about. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Twitter, tweet, text, Rough Greens. It's not dog food. I give it to my dogs, though. So I got Doodle, who's the dog I talk about all the time, because he's the one who's benefited the most from this because he's older and he's got bad hips and he was struggling forever and a day. But I also give it to my puppies. We've got Bowie, who is, for the most part, awful. I think he's eating our house right now because he's a puppy. And then we've got Red, who's the sweetest dog in the world. And I sprinkle it on their food, and it's got vitamins, vegetables, minerals. It's got, you name it, probiotics, omega-369. It has all of these things. It does what? It brings their dog's food to life. But it gives them the things that they're lacking inside of the food because their food's not living. It's not meant to live. It's meant to survive on a shelf. So it has benefited Doodle in ways that you cannot believe. When you had a dog who could barely walk and wouldn't do anything and would really start to growl and get very nippy if you got near his back legs. And now, after 7 months or so on this thing, he runs, he bounces, you can pet him. He is a totally new dog. I swear by it. It'll benefit your dogs. It's $14.95 for a 2-week jump start. Get yours now. Go to roughgreens.com/Chad, ruffgreens.com/Chad, or call 833-MyDog88, 833-MyDog88. Rough Greens. We make any pet food better. Chad Benson Show.
Running with scissors sounds great compared to this.
Say
In the final days of his campaign, Donald Trump is facing two foes, Joe Biden and a pandemic that is getting worse in the very places he needs to win. Unable to ignore the virus, he's downplaying it, and he's making promises.
And a safe vaccine is coming very quickly. You're going to have it momentarily. That eradicates the virus, and we're rounding the turn regardless. Normal life will fully resume.
Campaigning in Nebraska, a rare acknowledgement from the president that some parts of the country are hurting.
Yeah, they are. Look, he should not downplay it. This is what I want from my leader. Just give me the straight skinny. Right? That's it. Don't tell me what I want to hear. Tell me what I need to hear. You don't have to tell me everything, because I realize, and I know people like, I can't believe that he told Bob Woodward all those things and that he didn't want America to panic. We don't panic. You're Biden all the time. Americans don't panic. We bought every ounce of toilet paper that you could find. Right? We panic. There's a little panic because that's the herd mentality, not immunity, but mentality. So I just want you to say, look, acknowledge, hey, we're going to get through this. And I think we're going to get through it sooner rather than later. I'm not the doom and gloom guy, but yeah, it's affecting people. Okay, there you go. At least I know that. I mean, I know that. You know that. You're smart enough to realize that. But I just love, like, the media. Just, oh my God, look what we're not rounding the corner. It's getting 10 times worse. Okay, it's like you can't. Some people just live in that doom and gloom. You can tell me we're going to get through this thing, but it could get worse before it gets better. And it doesn't mean the death toll is going to rise to 28 million people. Was it 2.2 million originally? Is that what they said? We can definitely have this conversation in adult ways. But when you lose reason and you replace it with emotion and you only look at the negative, you're going to find that you're not going to be able to reason with that at all. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. It's definitely going to be interesting as we head in. You look at the polls. I'm going to be honest. I have no idea what we're going to find out as far as the polls are telling us. I have no idea. 1 minute, I will wake up, and I'll wake up and I go, all right, I think Trump's going to get crushed. By the afternoon, I'm like, I think he may win this thing. By the time I go to bed, I'm like, no, he's definitely going to lose, but it's going to be close. The next morning, I wake up and I go, he may boat race Biden. Then by lunch, I'm like, nah, I'm pretty sure Biden has it. This is tougher than Hillary because you had two unlikable candidates. You had no COVID. Not that Trump was unlikable because a lot of people loved him. And we also didn't have 4 years of him. So it was easier. You knew it was going to be close. This is one of those things where you look at one thing, it's like, hey, did you hear he's up 5,000 points in Wisconsin, Biden is. And then the next one's like, well, these people saying it's a dead heat. Well, they're not sampling the same people we are. So I don't know. I've stopped looking at polls. I've looked at just a couple that I know have been pretty consistent and kind of where I feel it's at, which is Biden's up by about 3 points. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Twitter, Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Hello, I'm Dr. Claire Pochet. I'm a general pediatrician and also a senior health advisor here at the Oregon Health Authority. I'm here with Shimi Sharif, my colleague who's also a senior health advisor, and we thought we'd start by giving you a quick update on where we are as a state with COVID-19. As of today, there have been 38,160 cases of COVID-19 in Oregon, with 390 new cases being reported today. Sadly, we are also reporting 3 deaths today, bringing the statewide total for COVID-19 related deaths to 608.
Why am I playing that? Because she's dressed like a clown. Swear to God, I'm going to tweet it out. She's dressed like a clown. She's got the makeup on. She's got the full outfit on. Because they're going to talk about, I guess, Halloween safety. I would have just went with the Halloween safety. You could have updated the other stuff maybe in a tweet. I don't know. But she's dressed like a clown. And it's the sad face. Oh. My God. If I would have told you. So let's say I said, hey, producer Phil. In October of this year, so it's the beginning of the year, right? Not even, we're just passing over. And in October of 2020, a pandemic will have swept through to the point where it is canceling everything from sports to family functions to school to Halloween, and that there would be a woman dressed as a clown in Oregon delivering the sombering news of people dying from this dreaded disease. You would have been like, shut the hell up. Oh, it happened. And he shouldn't laugh about it. What do you want me to do? You're dressed as a clown delivering news. This is something you would think. Was this a Will Ferrell movie? No. This is it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. I don't even know where to go. Let's have some fun.
I'm the spokesperson for the Democratic Party. We're the party of science. And the science is clear. Men have periods. No. Vaccines save lives unless they're developed while Trump is president. And voting for us will end hurricanes, wildfires, and tornadoes. As our nation reels from a pandemic with at least a 98% survival rate, we need a party that understands that riots, liquor stores, and abortion clinics are immune to the virus, while churches and schools are dangerous and must be shut down. It's for your safety.
It's totally for your safety. Everything is for your safety. Always remember that. We're not finished with our good friends here, poking funs at the liberals.
Democrats stand for justice. That means we'll ruin a man's life based on no evidence because we believe all women, unless your name is Tara Reid. As fighters for justice, abolish the police and prison systems. Our commitment to justice also means we'll stand by as the lives, businesses, and property of people who did nothing wrong are destroyed. That's because we believe Trump is a racist. He just is. Black Lives Matter.
It's not very nice, Chad. It's not very nice. Come on, it's kind of funny. You can laugh. This is the problem, right? When you can't laugh at yourself. I can laugh at the Republicans all day long, and I do. And I put stuff up. If you can't laugh at stuff and you start to lose your sense of humor, everything is lost. All of it's lost. You have to have a sense of humor. That's what keeps us not only sane, but it's what keeps people in check in the real world. The funny thing is, we're the party of science, except for men can have periods. No! Genetically, no. Now, you can identify as a man, but no. That's what I'm saying on that. No. It's crazy. It's nuts. Right? Like this is the world that we find ourselves. I was telling the guys, this is what I'm talking about, the loss of reason. We live in a day and age now where if your child wants to go on hormone therapy and they're 8 years old, you'd be championed and cheered from the rafters and stuff. That's something that, quite frankly, is ridiculous at that age. Sorry, it is. No, it's not. But if you go and take your child and get him a neck tattoo, you're going to jail. Well, of course. Really? I mean, just think about that for a second. Well, I'm just saying, no, that's nuts. This is why we can't lose our sense of humor. This is why we need more reason in the world. Yes, go ahead and identify with whatever you want to identify with. Do it. Absolutely. I've got zero problems whatsoever. My godson is trans. I love him to death. I do. Older when they made the decision. I got zero problems with that. As an adult, you should be able to make those kind of decisions. As you get older and you form some stuff that's real in thought and your brain becomes more developed. But these are the kind of things, it's insane. It really is. And you say this stuff and like, we're going to have to cancel you. Really? If your child wanted to get a tattoo and was like 10 years old, wanted to get inked up, get themselves a little Post Malone tattoos and get some stuff on their knuckles, what would you tell them? Just curious. It's a big life decision, right? Maybe something on the face, on the cheek. Well, it's come on. If you just think about it for 1 second, you process, you're like, yeah, he's probably right.
In Joe Biden, we have a champion for the BIPOC. Most recently, he compassionately pointed out that all black people think the same way, and that if you don't vote for him, you ain't black. He's right, of course. The only real black people are the ones who agree with us on everything. And those who don't, well, we have every right to belittle and demean them. That's what we call anti-racism. Democrats are the party of the poor, the marginalized, and people of color, as is reflected in our leadership and our party's biggest donors. Y hablamos español.
This is so true, too. You know, for all the stuff that Trump's done, that people, he's a racist, he's evil, he's bad, and all those, you know, I mean, it's for all of that stuff. And that's fine. Bring it up, talk about it. You don't see how, like what Chelsea Handler did the other day, telling 50 Cent that he needs to be reminded he's black and that he can't vote that way, essentially saying you need to get back on the plantation. This is where you need to come to. You're not allowed to go over there. That free thought thing, you better stop that right now. That wasn't? Thank goodness that white women can save the day.
And even though he's explicitly condemned white supremacy multiple times, it's not enough and it never will be. Come to think of it, he hasn't been quite clear enough on his stances on cannibalism, pushing people in front of moving trains, or Ted Bundy either. It really makes you wonder.
You can laugh because it's funny. I can laugh when they make fun of the right. I can laugh when they make fun of the left. I can laugh when they make fun of, because so much of it is based. The beauty of humor is, and why it's important, is because inside of the humor, there's truth. Inside of the humor, there's real truth inside of there. Now, you take it to a ridiculous extent, which is awesome because that's what makes you go, ha ha. But inside of there is very real. Some of that stuff is absolutely 100% spot on. They don't pander. They don't. That's, of course they do. Everybody panders. That's what they do. Because you have to. The Republicans, when you think of a Republican, you think of a cranky old mean white guy smoking a cigarette or a stogie trying to figure out how to destroy everybody's lives. And you can laugh about that because chances are some of that's pretty damn true. Right? Like when I think, if you want to draw up what the perfect villain would be in some of these things, it's Mitch McConnell. Mitch totally is. And it's funny because what he says here is very true about the left, but he is the poster child for what you would think would be the evil bad guy in a political thriller.
These are the elites who want to preach to the rest of the world how we conduct our lives. What we can even say occasionally. That's what we're up against.
But if I was going to go to central casting, I say, hey, look, I need somebody. What do you need? I need an older white guy who looks like he wants to control the world from the back rooms and is all that everybody says, says they are. He's all that. He's just swarmy. And they're like, oh, okay, hold on a second. And they draw Mitch McConnell. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet, text, love hearing from you. Love and politics, do they mix?
A house divided against itself cannot stand. Abraham Lincoln quoting the Bible, but a Massachusetts couple's working to prove that wrong.
I go upstairs. I say, I can't. I really can't. It's a compromise.
That is Tilda and Rocky DeRocco. This election, she's voting for Joe Biden. He's voting for Donald Trump. But after 34 years of marriage,
what's more important than politics is our relationship.
They've already agreed to disagree over their vote, and it extends to their front yard in Boston, where they have his and hers campaign signs, putting their compromise on display for all to see. And they both have messages for politicians.
I wish that they would take this message to Washington and realize there is something more important than winning for your party. Try winning for the people. That's what's really important. And they've completely lost sight of that.
And Tilda's hope for every single one of us.
I just want to go back to normal, where people aren't going nuts with each other.
For what it's worth.
I love it. It's true. You could do that. I would never want to marry somebody, be in a relationship, have all or just all my relationships based on groupthink. If you can't expand your mind and welcome ideas, then what the hell are we doing? I don't have all the answers. Maybe you've got some of the answers I don't have. Maybe I have some of the answers you don't have. That's why it's great. And we can agree to disagree, not making it personal, not getting emotional about it. And the worst case scenario is, at the end of the day, if I learn something new, and that's the worst case, or you learn something new, that's a victory. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. AMAC, Association of Mature American Citizens, fastest growing over 50 organization in the country. They're out there fighting your behalf for Medicare, right? The Constitution, Social Security, making sure that they're solvent, making sure that they're protected. Top of that, they're giving you benefits across the board that are incredible. Retail, restaurant, hotel discounts, travel discounts. They'll help you if you've got questions about Medicare and Social Security. They're there for you. And it's an amazing organization. Right now, you should join because they're fighting on your behalf to make sure the Second Amendment is protected. The First Amendment is protected because those things are really important. And I think we lose sight of things like this. Join AMAC today. Go to amac.us/Chad. Take advantage of this. It costs virtually nothing. amac.us/Chad. amac.us/Chad. At Chad Benson Show, Twitter, ChadBenson. Chad Benson Show.
Deep states? No. Deep doo-doo? Yeah. The Chad Benson Show.
Now it's time for Chad's Evil Countdown. The best horror movies of all time. Can you handle it? Are you afraid? You should be.
I love it. I do it every single year. My favorite horror movies. Interesting about horror movies is some movies I consider horror movies. Some movies, like my favorite movie of all time is Halloween, but I don't put it on the list because it's my favorite movie. Yesterday was Paranormal Activity, maybe the most terrifying. This, today, number 2, is a movie called Wolf Creek. What's terrifying about this is it's based on a real story about a real person. The movie came out in 2005, and if you've not seen it, low-budget movie, filmed really well, Australian movie, starring John Jarrett, who you probably recognize him. He's been in Django and a bunch of other movies, Australian guy, pretty funny, well-respected actor. But it's based on the Backpack Murders, about a man by the name of Ivan Milat, who killed backpackers in Australia for decades. They just went missing. Wasn't a big deal. It's the outback, right? It's the outback. People go missing all the time. People miss. It just happens. But the movie is absolutely terrifying just because of who this guy was and how he did it. And the brazenness of which he did it, which was terrifying. And this guy was, well, he was, for all intents and purposes, as evil as it comes.
Wow. That's awesome. Looks like we might be spending the night. What the hell? Just stay in the car.
Ooh, spooky. This is where they meet Mr. Ivan.
What the bloody hell are you mob doing out here? Scared out of me.
So, where did you live?
Oh, I get around, you know. Never know where I might pop up.
What do you actually do?
I can tell you, but then I'd have to kill you.
And that's exactly what he did. A guy by the name of Paul Onion, I think his name, or Onions, got away from him in real life, reported it, went back to England where he was from, and then when 2 backpackers went missing and were found, he recognized the area and said, I reported it. Why didn't anybody do anything about this? They brought him back over to Australia, and eventually Ivan Milat was convicted. He died last year in prison. How many people he killed, nobody knows. His family said there's a lot more out there, but it's out there in the middle of godforsaken nowhere. But the movie's terrifying because of how real it was and what he did. Almost for sport, that he killed these people and tortured them. And sometimes you think to yourself, as weird and as wacky as Hollywood can make things, the truth is more terrifying. And if you're looking for a movie that is terrifying and is scary because of the desolate nature of it and the hunting madman, Wolf Creek, number 2, absolutely frightening. Check it out. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from you. Tweeted out earlier, I think we're losing the battle with reason in this country. I think we need more reason, more common sense, not less of it. And I feel like feelings have not only overridden fact now, they've become the fact of facts, which is just bizarre. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show.